A used pair of vice-grip locking pliers, scratched, decades old, stamped with the words DeWitt, Nebraska, sells online today for about $20. A brand new pair sealed in the plastic straight off the assembly line sells for about $15. The worn-out old ones cost more than the fresh new ones. Turn that new pair over, read the fine print pressed into the steel, and the reason snaps into focus. Made in China. This is not nostalgia, and it is not collectors bidding up an antique. It is not that the old ones are rare. You can walk into any hardware store this afternoon and buy a new pair off the peg. The used American pliers cost more for one reason. The men who forged them in that small Nebraska town built them to outlast the man who bought them, and the new ones were built somewhere else, to a cheaper standard. Before anyone accuses me of pulling numbers out of the air, here's where they come from. The new price and the country of origin comes straight off the retailer's own spec sheet. The used price is an average across dozens of completed sales on the open market. Not one receipt I can wave in your face, so treat it as a range. But the range holds. Across the board, the used American pair sells for more than the new import, and the unused ones still sealed from the old plant have gone for $65 and up, 4 times the price of the new one. Here is what this video is going to do. It is going to show you how the best locking pliers ever made in this country died in a town of 572 people, how that same factory floor went silent not once but twice in 15 years, and which pliers brand refused to leave, and whether it is worth your money. And while I talk, go open the drawer in your garage. There is a pair of pliers in there you have trusted for years. By the end of this, you are going to know who made them, where, and whether the badge on the handle still means what you think it means. Start with why the old one is worth more, because it is not sentiment. It is metal. The American Vise-Grip was drop forged. A bar of high carbon steel gets heated and hammered into shape under tons of pressure and, in the words of the drop forgers themselves, that hammering reshapes the grain of the metal so it follows the curve of the tool. The grain flows around the jaw instead of being sliced straight through it. And that, they will tell you, is what gives a forged tool the toughness and the crack resistance a cast one can never match. The cheap import is often cast instead. Molten metal poured into a mold, no hammering, no grain flow. It looks like a pair of pliers, and it grips like one, right up until the day the jaw snaps. One tool is built to be handed down, the other is built to be thrown away and bought again. DeWitt, Nebraska, population 572, an hour south of Lincoln, flat farm country in every direction. It is the last place you would expect to find a tool the whole trade once swore by. The story starts with a Danish immigrant blacksmith named William Peterson. Working in that town in the 1920s, he built a locking plier with a lever in the handle that let a man clamp the jaws shut with the force of a vise and then walk away hands-free. He patented a rough first version in 1921 and the locking mechanism that held in 1924. He formed Peterson Manufacturing in 1934 and opened his first real plant in 1938 in a converted downtown drugstore. Then came the war and the tool that saved him. The way the Nebraska farm history record tells it, by 1941 the plant was running flat out on government contracts. Thousands of vice grips shipped to England for the aircraft industry. On the Liberty ships, welders reached for them so often that when a pair got clamped into place, they would weld the pliers right into the hull, rather than stop to pry them loose. The tool sold for $1.25. That same year, Peterson's original patent expired, and by the record's own telling, the war is what saved the company. For the next several decades, the finest locking pliers money could buy came out of that Nebraska plant, and everyone in the trade knew it. For a long time, that seemed permanent. The same tool made by the same hands, in the same town, decade after decade. That did not last. The name changed hands more than once. The company carrying Vise-Grip forward bought the Irwin brand name in 1993. A larger corporation, Newell Rubbermaid, took a minority stake back in the 1980s and full ownership by 2002. Hold on to that fact because people get the ending wrong. In 2008, when the plant died, the owner was Newell. Stanley Black Decker, the name on the tool today, did not buy this business until 2017 for just under $2 billion. They did not close DeWitt. Newell did. By the middle of the 2000s, the offshoring wave was already moving through American toolmaking, one brand at a time. The clock was already ticking under DeWitt. The people on that factory floor just could not hear it yet. And then Newell made the one decision that ended it. On a September morning in 2008, the workers were called in for a meeting at 5:30 in the morning. They were told the plant was closing and that Vise-Grip production was moving to China. By the end of October, it was over. Pliers had been made in DeWitt for more than 80 years. When the plant closed, about 300 people lost their jobs in a town of 572. Set those two numbers beside each other. That is more than half as many jobs as there were men, women, and children in the whole town, gone in a single autumn. But the DeWitt story was not finished, not even close. And this next part is the one almost nobody outside that town ever heard. In 2017, a company called Malco Products bought the empty plant. They reopened it in 2018. They hired workers back, and they started forging American locking pliers again inside that same building. There was only one thing they could not do. They could not call them Vise-Grip, because that trademark had stayed with the brand when production left. So Malco launched their pliers under a new name, Eagle Grip. Reopening a shuttered locking plier factory in rural Nebraska to fight a Chinese import on price was either the bravest bet in American toolmaking or the most foolish. It did not hold. In late 2022, Malco announced it was discontinuing the line. By the end of that year, all 63 workers were let go. And in the spring of 2023, the liquidators came and auctioned off the manufacturing equipment, machine by machine, and the building went up for sale. That factory had been emptied by Irwin in 2008 and emptied a second time by the time Eagle Grip folded. The same floor, silent twice in 15 years. As for the tool you buy new today under the Vise-Grip name, it is made overseas, the standard line coming out of China. The legend still sells. The town that made it a legend does not make it anymore. And this is where it stops being a story about one plant and becomes a story about one word. The word is American, because a lot of tools still wear it. Go back to that new Vise-Grip listing. It still calls the tool the American Original, right there in the marketing copy, while the spec sheet one line below lists the country of origin as China. Both claims live on that one listing, a foot apart. If you are wondering how that is even legal, so is everyone else, including the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC has a rule for this. It is called the Made in USA Labeling Rule, 16 CFR, Section 323.2, and it says a company cannot label a product made in the USA unless the final assembly happens here, and in the rule's own words, all or virtually all ingredients or components of the product are made and sourced in the United States. That standard has been the Commission's position since the 1990s, but it was only in the summer of 2021 that the rule was written into the books in a way that let the Commission fine violators, civil penalties, running into thousands of dollars for every offense. The label is protected now. The catch is that a legend on the handle and a country of origin on the spec sheet can still tell you two different stories on the same page, and reading the second one is on you. That is the whole reason we built the Buy It for Life brand ledger. It is a $29 breakdown of the major tool brands, category by category, ranked not by the sticker price but by what a tool costs you per year of service, with the country of origin and the real warranty listed on everyone, so you never have to squint at a spec sheet in a hardware aisle to work out who is telling you the truth. The link is in the description. Now back to the pliers, because I promised you a brand that never left, and there is a twist standing between you and it. If this were a simple story, the survivor would be the one famous American name that held on, and we would stop there. It is not that simple because of a company you have held in your own hand and assumed was American. Ask a serious tradesman for the best pliers in the world, and a lot of them will say Knipex. The cutters, the pliers wrenches, the ones that feel machined out of a single thought. And here's the part even its fans miss. Knipex is not American, it is German. More than 1,000 people build those tools in Wuppertal, Germany, at a firm founded in 1882 by a man named Carl Gustav Puch. in a district called Cronenberg. It has stayed an independent family company for more than 140 years, run today by the fourth generation of the same family. That is the point of bringing it up. Origin is not a magic word. A great plier can come out of Germany, and a famous American name can end up stamped on an import. What matters is who is still standing behind the tool and where and whether they will make it right when it breaks. This is the brand that never left. And it is no secret and it is nothing exotic. It has been hanging on the pegboard your whole life. Let me hold the name for one more breath, because the history is the proof. The company was founded in 1886 by a blacksmith named George Derment out of Evansburg, Pennsylvania, who started out making farrier's tools and called it the Champion Bolt and Clipper Company. The tool that would define it came later. In 1933, an engineer there designed the tongue and groove plier, the one with the channel of grooves in the jaw that lets it open wide and clamp down on a pipe. And the company grew so identified with that one tool that it took the tool's own name for itself. It still forges its pliers in Meadville, Pennsylvania. On the same South Main Street it has worked since the 1920s, with more than 350 people on the floor. The company is still owned and run by that same founding family, the fifth generation now. It is not a holding company, and it is not a brand name that got bought and shipped to the other side of the world. The same family, the same town, going on 140 years. You already know the name. It is stamped on the pliers in half the toolboxes in America, Channellock. The tool earned it a trademark in 1935, and the company renamed itself after the tool in 1963. Now I am going to be careful here, because precision is the whole point. Channellock does not claim that every single thing it sells is American-made. The company says outright that a select number of its products are imported as needed. But on the tools this video is about, the pliers themselves, the tongue and groove, and the non-locking pliers, the company states that they are 100% made in the USA, forged from American steel. That is not me putting words in their mouth. That is the company drawing the line itself, which is more honesty than the legend stamped on the China-made handle ever gave you. So let me put a number on it, because a verdict without a number is just an opinion. Take the Channellock flagship, the grooved jaw plier they have built for the better part of a century. It sells for about $18.57. Forged high-carbon American steel, laser-hardened teeth, and a limited lifetime warranty behind it. Now amortize it. A tradesman buys that plier once at $18.50 and works it across a 30-year career. That is about 62 cents a year. Stretch it to 40 years, the way these last, and you are down near 46 cents a year, and the warranty means that if it ever fails, they replace it, so your cost for the rest of your working life rounds to nothing. Now run the cheap one. A cast import runs $8–10, and it is priced to be disposable. Say it lasts you 3 years before the jaw wears loose or cracks at the pin. Over that same 30-year span, you are buying it again and again, 10 times over, and you will spend $80, $100 in climbing to stay stocked in a tool that was never going to see the decade out. The forged American plier, bought once, costs you less across your whole career than the throwaway cost you across 10. That is the cost per year the sticker never shows you. Buy once, cry once. So here is the verdict, and it fits on the back of a receipt. If you want a tongue and groove plier that will outlive you and never send $1 overseas, buy the Channellock, and before you pay, turn it over and read the handle. It should say Meadville, Pennsylvania. That stamp is the whole thing. Which brings us back to where we started, and to that new pair of vice grips that cost less than the used one. The listing still calls it the American original. The stamp says China, both true on the same page, and now you know why the used one wins. Someone in Nebraska forged it to outlast the man who bought it. The new one was built to be replaced. Your drawer does not have to end that way. The last good tool is still out there, still being forged in an American town by a family that never left. You only have to know whose name is on the handle, and read the small print before you pay. Go check your drawer. Next time I will show you which of the brands sitting in it are already gone, and which ones are worth betting your livelihood on all over again.